Kentucky, I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you, March 16th, 2026. Happy Bracket Monday. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. I'm TJ Walker, joined in studio, feels like for the first time in a very long time, with one Stephen Peak, and across the cement block wall, one producer, Matt Childress. That is Matt Childress, not Chambers. How's everybody doing? It's the gang's all here. It feels like we haven't gotten to do this for a while. And don't get used to it, because this week is going to be all herky-jerky. There's St. X games on Big X Sports Radio, go Tigers. There's Butler games on Big X Sports Radio, go Bears. Or go Bears. Hopefully more St. X games on Big X Sports Radio if they keep winning. So it's going to be a weird week. UK plays in the afternoon on Friday. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to that game, Peak. I have until...
Oh, you're going?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to go.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I have I guess until what? Like tonight or tomorrow, I guess tomorrow night to cancel the hotel room if I want to. And I really want to go. I said before the selection committee, the selection show, that if they're in St. Louis, I'm going to go. I booked this hotel last week. Yeah, it's not a bad drive at all. I was going to take the kid, the 4-year-old, and St. Louis seems great zoo. Seems like I've heard great things about their museums. So I thought it'd be a good trip to do it. Sure enough, they're seated there. There you go. Time to put pen to paper, I suppose. And the only hiccup is that 12:15 start time, which I could potentially have Kentucky out of the NCAA tournament peak before I would even check into my hotel, which would just be my luck. I mean, I'm not kidding you. That's probably how it's going. If you maybe just want to make some money on Santa Clara money line, that's how it's going to go, because that's just too ironic for my life that, how'd the trip to go watch the Cats play? Well, they were eliminated before I even checked into my hotel. Because that's the way that it would go, Peak.
That would stink.
And I thought about maybe going Thursday, but and then just being able to wake up down there. That sounds nice too, but I don't. I think we're gonna go, and if we do, we'll leave Friday. Drive probably straight to the arena, like house to arena, and then go to hotel after game.
So you're gonna leave after the Santa Clara game on Friday or before?
We would leave. We would go to the Santa Clara game.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought you were saying that you were worried. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah.
So we would probably, the plan, tentatively, again, I could potentially leave Thursday night, but I think the plan would be like 6 a.m. Friday, get in the car, drive straight to the game, go to the game, and then check into the hotel and spend the weekend in St. Louis. Have a little father-daughter weekend in St. Louis. And ideally go to watch UK win 2 games. But I wonder, that one of the other things that's a little bit concerning is they could play nighttime on Sunday. There's no guarantee that UK Iowa State has to be early on Sunday just because they're early on Friday. They could say, you know what, Iowa State, Kentucky, that's a pretty good one. We'll put that primetime Sunday evening. That very well could happen. My guess would be it'd be the standalone game at like noon or 2. Probably 2 would be my guess. If it is UK Iowa State, hey, you don't look ahead of Santa Clara. That's so many people do. Dude, I can look ahead to whoever I want.
Who are we playing in the Sweet 16? Tennessee again?
Yeah, hypothetically, Kentucky's championship game against Duke. Boozer's going to be a beast for the Cats. I can do whatever I want in terms of hypothetical matchups for what it's worth. Yes, I know Kentucky needs to get past a first-round matchup. So I'm excited, though. I really am. Yesterday is one of my favorite days of the year. Today is one of my favorite days to do radio. It's the peak, the Stephen peak, if you will. It's the pinnacle of what we talk about all year is Selection Sunday. Everything that we do in the offseason in terms of putting a roster together, it's because you want a good seed on Selection Sunday. When the games start to happen in November and December, it's great to get one of those big out-of-conference wins. Why? Because it helps you on Selection Sunday. And sure enough, it always seems like the weather's pretty solid on Selection Sunday. It was windier than Nam. That was for sure. We went to my brother's house to play pickleball No pickleball was done. Entirely too windy. But it was a great time. It was just a really, really good evening. And then, folks, I'm not one to try to get straight into business. I like to do some afternoon delights, check in on how everybody's doing. But I love the draw. I really do. And as much as I say, Selection Sunday is the pinnacle of our sport, college basketball, that is, the best sport that there is, I did have a bit of a realization peak, and I have this every Selection Sunday, but yesterday probably more so than any other else, is it really, like, so much of the game to game that we hang our life on, seemingly, really doesn't matter, So BYU finished a seed line above Kentucky, a seed spot above Kentucky, and Louisville was 2. Do we think that Kentucky has a worse draw than Louisville or BYU? And you may say, yeah, you could be passionate about that, I suppose.
Do I think that Kentucky has a worse draw?
Yeah, there's Kentucky's draw significantly more difficult than Louisville's or BYU.
I think if you're Kentucky, you probably would have wanted to avoid playing Gonzaga in the second round, which is what BYU is like you to do. And then, you probably like to avoid Michigan State, who both those teams beat Kentucky by a combined 52 points.
Yeah, so, that they finished ahead of Kentucky. That was their reward. But let me take it a little bit further. Kansas had a really good season. Well, I mean, for Kansas standards, not probably up to snuff, but that for a down Kansas season, they were competing in the most difficult conference in college basketball. They were right there at the top of it. What's their reward? Yeah, they get an easy first-round game against Cal Baptist, who won in wild fashion against Utah Valley over the weekend. It was a crazy game. Typical just March Madness shenanigans.
I love those tournaments almost more than the high major tournaments.
Sure. Yeah, those are great because it's just neither one has any business going to the tournament, but one will, whoever wins it. And all right, so Kansas, good season. You get a favorable opponent in the first game. You get St. John's in the second game.
Yeah.
Would you rather Kentucky play, and then if you're St. John's, you win the Big East tournament, you were one of the best 2 teams in the Big East the entirety of the season, and you get rewarded with a 5 seed and a tricky Northern Iowa team in the first round, but your reward in the second round is Kansas, or vice versa, St. John's. Is that significantly easier than Iowa State? No, I mean, I would probably, if you're having me rank them, I'd probably take Iowa State.
Really?
Probably.
And they're pretty good.
I don't know if I'd want to
Is it just the known versus the unknown?
All these teams can beat Kentucky for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're a 6 or a 7, even a 4 or 5.
My sentiment is outside of the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
And even everybody's talking about how Ohio State's going to give Duke a game in the round of 32. Ohio State's going to lose to TCU. We all know that, right? That's the way that it goes.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's going to be a tricky round of 30. That team always goes home in that 8-9 game. The trendy 8-9 picks never seem to really work out. But I love that we get to talk about it. The overall sentiment, though, is you played the season. It was more underwhelming than we wanted. Hello to the YouTube. This is Kentucky Roll Call. Stephen Peak, TJ Walker, producer Matt. Hopefully we're going to get some resolution on the podcast. But currently on YouTube and on the Big X Sports Radio podcast feed for what it's worth. But underwhelming regular season, you can make it all up over the next couple weeks. If we're still talking about Kentucky playing a week from today, Stephen Peak, are we going to care that November sucked? Are we going to care that December was terrible? At least for a little while, no. At least for that time, at least for another week, previewing a Sweet 16 game, we're going to be pretty darn happy. That's something, getting to preview a second weekend of Kentucky in the NCAA tournament has only happened once since the pandemic. So we'll take it, and we want it to happen again. So this is the great equalizer, and I'm cool with Kentucky's draw. Again,
what are your expectations, though? That's the one thing, is that I
was really worried they were going to get hosed and be in the 8-9 game, in which case it would just be a death sentence. I don't think they were getting through any of the 1 seeds.
I just wanted March Madness again with Final Four expectations, because even last year as a 3 seed, I didn't really have that. Now, the year before with Reed and Rob, I don't know why I felt that way, but I actually had Final Four expectations. So last year it was the injuries. This year it's injuries again, but also that you're a 7 seed, you have a losable game in the first round, and then you're playing a really, really good Iowa State Cyclone team in the second round. If you get to that, if you get to the Sweet 16, I mean, honestly, like that's why I kind of wanted Tennessee's draw, because I'll take my chances with Virginia, and then we'll see.
Oh, man, Virginia's like that's the type of team though.
It is
a front court that swallows you up. Ugonna would have no way seeing ghosts.
He would no like, but I would
I hear you though.
I would rather have that draw and then see if the 2 seed can lose by the time maybe there's an upset in the 7-10 that we can avoid the 2 and it gives the 1 seed a little bit more time to blow it. Michigan in this Midwest region, But yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's a lock that Kentucky's going to the Sweet 16 or Iowa State's super gettable. We got the 1-2 seed I wanted to play. Kentucky could lose by 15 to Santa Clara. It would surprise me none if that happened. That being said, all things considered, for a 7 seed, you're getting Santa Clara in the first round. You're Kentucky basketball. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them. They can beat Kentucky. There's a reason why UK opened as only a 2-point favorite, and then it ballooned up to 4.5 or 5. Settled back in around 3.5 or 4, depending on where you're seeing it at the moment. They're good enough to beat. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but listen. Kentucky's either going to make the Sweet 16, and we'll be happy, or they'll lose this weekend. I don't think one win against Santa Clara isn't going to change the narrative of the season. You either have to get out of this pod, or people are going to be disappointed with the season in its entirety. Whether you lose it on Friday or you lose it in the round of 32. Nobody's going to say, well, you lost to Iowa State. No shame in that. Good season, everybody. No, people are going to say, you didn't make it out of the first weekend. This is bad. You were a 7 seed. That's bad. Mm-hmm. And if you lose to Santa Clara on Friday, that will be very bad. You shouldn't lose to them. I don't care what the spread says. You need to win that game. And then Iowa State as a round of 32 opponent, assuming they beat, do you know who the coach of Tennessee State is?
I do not. Who is it?
Do you know who it is, producer Matt?
I don't remember.
I'm very familiar to U of L fans. Tried the coup, the Kenny coup, Nolan Smith.
Oh, yeah, Nolan Smith.
Nolan
First
Smith,
season, right?
Who he is, it's pretty crazy that he got a head coaching job because he undermined his head coach, made up rumors to potentially get him fired so he could potentially be the head coach in waiting, and ended up getting a job after that and has Tennessee State in the NCAA tournament. We are all Tigers this weekend. We'll be rooting for the Tigers against the Cyclones. But if you do get a second-round matchup against Iowa State can win that game by 25. If they hit 15 threes, good night, it's over. But Kentucky can beat Iowa State. There's no doubt that Kentucky can play with and beat Iowa State, and we'll have some advantages there. The type of team that I don't want Kentucky to play, one with a really dominant, big, athletic, that's the key word, athletic front court. It's not really Iowa State. Iowa State is a great shooting team, and if they're on, they can beat anybody, but it's the round of 32. It's going to be a difficult game. Kansas is playing St. John's. Illinois is going to play probably North Carolina if North Carolina doesn't get beat by VCU. You get tough games in the round of 32. So we'll see. I definitely think there's a path to get to the Sweet 16 and play in Chicago, which would be fun. Secondly, if Kentucky was even a 1 or 2 seed peak, if this was all right, we want seeding preferences. St. Louis would be where Kentucky's playing for the first and second round. Mm-hmm. That's geographically the closest. And then if Kentucky was a dominant seed, they'd be in Chicago most likely they would be in Chicago. So I think it's a pretty good draw for a pretty underwhelming regular season, all things considered. Is it the best? Is it the easiest? No. Could another team have a slightly better draw at like the 7 or 6 spot? Maybe. All things considered, though, I don't think Kentucky's doomed. I don't look at this pod and say there's no way Kentucky can get out, and they're done.
Would you have rather Purdue be the 2 seed that was waiting for them, or do you think there's that preseason game that Kentucky played, which, by the way, TJ, that does make it to where Kentucky beat the SEC champion, the Big East champion, and the Big Ten champion this year.
Yeah, the Big Ten one didn't help you on the resume, but interesting enough, what this team was able to accomplish, and we could get into the Florida game on Friday. We could get into the rest of the college basketball, but we've got our brackets, and we'll bring some of those things up from time to time. I probably would have preferred Purdue, but look at what they just did.
Right.
But I don't coin flip. Really, any of the 2 seeds, I think you could make a case, with the exception of Houston. Houston's not the type of team I think Kentucky would do well against. They would just they're big, they're physical, they're nasty. It would be a tough one for Kentucky. But any of those games would be difficult. And if I'm a Purdue fan, having to play Missouri in St. Louis potentially, that's pretty tough. And Missouri has the front court that can go toe-to-toe and out-compete Purdue's front court. Missouri could get to the Sweet 16, so naturally they'll lose to Miami.
Yeah.
So that's the way that goes. No, but I like the seed. I like the draw, all things considered. And I do think it's not impossible that a week from today we're talking about Kentucky in a Sweet 16 game, potentially against Tennessee for the second straight year. Virginia's good, though. I think Virginia gets out of that little pod there. And then in the Tennessee will take on the winner of
Miami, Ohio, and SMU.
SMU. Yeah, Tennessee, I don't think we'll have any trouble with either one of those teams. And then in the West, we mentioned BYU a little bit earlier. They will take on the winner of NC State and Texas there. So Miami of Ohio doesn't win the MAC, but they are in the NCAA tournament.
2-bid action.
Do you all agree with this? Are you happy about this?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they should be in a play-in game. They're the first. I think they said they're the first team to not win a quad 1 game to get an at-large bid. So that's a good spot for them. Go prove that they won so many close games. How many overtime games did they win? I mean, I felt like every time I watched Miami, Ohio, they were playing a 1-possession game and still winning, which is impressive to pull out that many close games. But yeah, that was fine with it. Miami should be in. They went undefeated in the regular season. They should have been in the field of 68.
They're in. It's a historically weak resume, but there does seem to be something about if you won all of your regular season games will allow you to compete in the postseason for the national championship. Were they the last team in? The very, very last? That's right.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah. And then the last team not to make it was Oklahoma. Auburn, the second team out. San Diego State third, and Scoots Indiana Hoosiers, the fourth team left out of the NCAA tournament. So I like the draw. Miami being in, whatever. I don't anticipate them beating SMU, but that will be a fun one on is that Wednesday night? Yeah, Wednesday night. And then tomorrow we get NC State, Texas in the play-in. And then in the 16 seed play-in games, how could I forget Howard versus UMass Bro College, UMBC, or Lehigh versus Prairie View on Wednesday. So there you go. If I couldn't have made that any more confusing. Producer Matt, did you like Louisville's draw?
I mean, considering it's in probably one of the toughest regions I've ever seen in an NCAA March Madness bracket, I don't mind it. I like the matchup against USF. I think it's a team that, we match up pretty similarly against, so I like our chances there. Michigan State, if we were talking about all the 3 seeds in the country, I think that team's a little fraudulent. I think they have a lot of weaknesses that a team that can shoot really well, which Louisville can take advantage of. Now, the only thing is that's a matchup nightmare for Louisville in terms of how physical they are and how they rely on their front court the way they do. So it's one where I could see Louisville getting blown up by 20, but I could also see Louisville getting hot and beating them by 15. I think my one thing with the draw is that, one, I'm just happy to be in the tournament. I saw that this is only, in the last decade, this is the first time Louisville's been in the tournament back-to-back seasons. Finally. Once again, that curse has been broken once again. I am ready to watch them play, and I think with the draw they got, with how stacked the East region is, it makes it a little bit easier on me. Louisville goes and wins that first game. I'm just taking it week by week. If it was a really easy region, I would sit here and have the mental contemplation of, okay, Pat Kelsey needs to get here. Louisville needs to get to an Elite Eight. Louisville needs to get to a Sweet 16 for me to be satisfied. But like I said, with how stacked it is, it's one where I can sit back, take it game by game at a time, and just appreciate to be in the situation we're in.
Yeah, I hear you on the Michigan State take. You started to lose me a little bit as you went on. I'm not as East as stacked as everybody else is. I had a little bit of a trolling tweet saying Duke had a cakewalk, but I don't think that. I think with the exception of St. John's and Kansas, I don't know. I think it's a pretty balanced region. I think it's pretty fair. I don't think it's too lopsided. UConn has not been playing great basketball as of late, so they don't really threaten. Nobody's scared of UCLA or Central Florida, even though Donovan Dent has turned it up a notch. I just don't think it's as stacked of a region as people make it out to be. St. John's, Kansas being in that same pod and only one team coming out of there, that's pretty tough. But outside of that, I agree with you. I think Michigan State as a 3 seed is one of the more gettable ones at that. And it's going to be interesting because it will be strength on weakness and strength on weakness for both teams in the Michigan State-Louisville game, where that you couldn't really ask for a worse front court matchup if you're U of L. And that's a nightmare for Pat Kelsey and the Cards. Like, Michigan State's going to be able to gobble you up. They're going to dominate the glass, and that's an issue. But on the flip side, they don't shoot the ball very well. U of L, if they're hot, that can just, who cares about the front court advantage? If you make 8 more threes than the opponents, that's 24 points that they're having to make up for, or potentially even 10 more threes. So that's just going to be, and that's basketball. I hate that so much of our analysis with brackets and any sort of games are going to come down to if you make shots. If Iowa State makes shots, then Kentucky's probably going to lose. If Louisville makes shots against Michigan State, they can beat them. However, on paper, it's Michigan State's very, very happy to have the front court advantage. Louisville thinking they can score on Michigan State. But I just don't think the East is as stacked, Stephen Peak.
Somebody in the Gameday Men's Health text line said, is the East stacked or is it just a lot of brand names?
Yeah, that's just bigger names more than anything
That's
else.
what I think.
And I know they won the Big East tournament, but I'm still not a huge St. John's believer. Kansas has been wonky all year. If Darren Peterson plays, they're going to be really, really tough.
But there are a lot of great, dude, Dan Hurley, Tom Izzo, Rick Pitino, John Shire, all in the same region. Big Game Pat is in there too. Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, that Sweet 16 is just automatically going to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
We got Shire, and we've got Self or Pitino, and Hurley, and
Izzo.
I just think in comparison to the other regions, it's not really that close. Like, if we're looking at it, like, I know that you were
feel about some of these teams, I suppose.
I know that you were making fun of Duke on your little trolling tweet, but at the end of the day, like, as much as I can't stand Duke, and I'm glad this happened to them, because I don't like them, this is probably the biggest shafting of an overall 1 seed I've ever seen.
I disagree. Again, I'm not that high on St. John's or Kansas, so while those are big names and those are tricky teams, like, again, they're solid, that's a Sweet 16 game, probably going to be challenging.
I think the West is the softest. I think Arizona has a walk.
Arizona, they will be in the Sweet 16, no problem. But I think a Sweet 16 game against Arkansas is just as challenging, if not more challenging, than a Sweet 16 game against Kansas or St. John's. So is Arizona getting any favors, having to go against maybe the best guard in the country in Acuff there in that game? That's challenging. And Arkansas could lose to Wisconsin. Yeah. I'll say this. Cal, UK fans don't like them. That's fine, whatever. I was conflicted. I want Cal to do well, but Arkansas fans are just so insufferable that I don't want him to do well.
Terrible.
So it's just kind of hard. Like, I want Cal to be happy, and I want him to have success, but not at the expense of Arkansas fans being happy. Ooh, gross. Are you kidding me? So I was rooting against him, and it made me feel gross rooting against him because I like Cal. Always will. But they got shafted a bit. They play on Sunday in the SEC tournament. Now they get to turn around and have to go to Portland and play on Thursday.
Well, that's because they gave him the 4 seed.
Well, then give me a 5 seed and let me play Friday.
That's probably what home. Would have rather had. But
Cal actually, I think, does pretty well in just getting away from noise and just like being in a weird pod. Like when he went to Boise, Kentucky played pretty well, although they did break the 3-point streak, so I'd take that back.
Yeah, you can't lose. There's just a couple of games on their schedule that just look really bad. Losing to Auburn by 22 points, losing to Kentucky at home.
Yeah, but Kentucky's a 7 seed, and they get to go play in St. Louis, and Arkansas is a 4 seed, and they have to go play in Portland.
Yeah, I think what they did was like they gave Kentucky the best 7, and they gave Arkansas the worst, one of the worst 4s, at least with travel wise. And again,
teams have to play. You can't always do regional geographic benefits. So at some point, teams have to go play at arenas. It's just the way that it goes. So Arkansas is going to have to go fly across the country. I don't feel bad for them. Cal's going to use that to fuel his guys. And it's a tough road, though, for Arkansas. Second-round game against Wisconsin, that's tough. And then Sweet 16, Arizona, they're a bear. They're really, really good. So, so you think the West is cake. I think actually the Midwest. I think where Kentucky is probably the easiest of the bunch. And I think you can make a case that the South is tougher than the East. I think you can make a case the West and the East, or the West and the South are tougher than the East. I do think the Midwest is the easiest.
That's just false.
Well,
the East has what, 4 Hall of Fame head coaches in the
that has nothing to do with it, though.
What do you mean that has nothing to do with it?
They're Hall of Fame head coaches. Doesn't mean they have good teams that are threats to win the NCAA championship.
What else would be a threat?
They're Hall of Fame head coaches. They're good head coaches. That's great.
Are you just trying to trigger me right now? I see you smiling over there on the camera.
I'm being sincere. I don't.
You're just trying to trigger.
Just because you have good head coaches doesn't mean that the teams makes the region more loaded itself.
But they're good teams as well. What are you talking about? One's Tom Izzo in March, Dan Hurley with arguably at one point in the season one of the most dominant teams in college basketball in UConn. Then you have Rick Pitino with St. John's, one of the better defensive teams in the country. Then you have John Shire with Duke, I think is by far none the best team in the country right now.
Duke, super banged up, gettable right now. Kansas, you never know what you're getting night in or night out.
That one I'll give you.
From them. And, they just looked horrible against Houston. I know it's Houston, so we'll give them a bit of a pass because Houston's one of the best teams in the country. But St. John's, I just haven't been a huge believer in all season. But they do have great head coaches. That is true. Michigan State, solid, but I think the weakest 3 seed. And just, again, in my opinion. So that's good to have the weaker seeds in a region. Nothing good to say about UCLA or UCF in that pod. And then UConn is solid, but again, not playing its best basketball at the moment. So I'm out. I'm out on the East. I've got it ranked 3rd toughest. I've got the West and the South rated above it. If I'm Florida, I'm pretty ticked off with our draw. Clemson and Iowa, they aren't going to beat Florida, but from a matchup standpoint, those are the type of teams that can muddy up a game against Florida, where Florida has a bad shooting night like they did against Kentucky. Then that game could come down to the wire, and you never know in March. Weird things can happen. But they'll be okay. They'll make the Sweet 16. But into the Sweet 16, you may get Vandy, the team that just pounded you. Like, of any team, what? Vandy? They're going to be our 5 seed? If I was Florida, I'd be a little furious about that. And then I think UNC, VCU, they're not going to do anything. I think VCU may beat UNC, and if they don't, Illinois is making the Sweet 16 easy. Illinois with a pretty favorable draw, all things considered. But then having Illinois, Houston, Vandy, Florida as your Sweet 16 in the South, that is tough. That is really, really hard. And Vandy, I think, maybe a little outclassed there, but they did just beat Florida, so I probably have to be careful saying that. Any one of those teams, I think, could realistically win a national championship. So, yeah, I'm standing by my take, Producer Matt.
That's fine. I don't got to like it.
Yep, you're just going to have to suck it, as one Nick Roush would say. 502-414-1450, Game Day Men's Health text line. Text on into the show. We'll do our best to read it. We'll talk more brackets, UK, more controversy with Kentucky athletics, because, of course, there always has to be. I haven't filled out a bracket yet. I'm going to probably do that during the commercial break. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio, streaming on the YouTube. That's going to be a tough one to pick. Yeah, that's one that I was going back on.
I have A&M losing that game.
You've got who?
A&M losing that game.
Yeah, that certainly seems like one that they would lose. I normally kind of just impartial to the SEC, have just an inherent SEC bias because it's just teams I get to see more of or watch more of. And it seems like in those games, I always get burnt. And it's not like I'm going to pick A&M to upset Houston or whoever I have winning that game to upset Houston, so it doesn't really matter. It's a low-risk pick if you want to get into some bracketology 101 here on Kentucky Roll Call. But I may lean the other way and just in those 50-50 games that involve an SEC team, I may just go the other way because it seems like I've been burnt years past. Like, when was the last time we heard about the SEC having a really dominant March? I know they had 2 Final Four teams last year, so it was good.
That one.
It was good, but I think we had a bad first round, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's just so many teams that got in.
Yeah.
It's like a record amount of teams.
Yeah.
They got 10 this year, which is the most. So there'll be a lot of them that will
So I don't know, but
opening round.
that being said, I really do see an avenue for the Elite Eight for Missouri, which is silly, probably. I probably need to amend that almost immediately. But they will be playing in St. Louis, which will be an advantage for them. Miami is nothing to worry about, no offense to producer Matt. Obviously, Miami could beat Missouri, but that's not like, oh, my goodness, that's such a tough game. And then Purdue, Mizzou.
I like how you said no offense to me like I'm a big Miami fan.
Well, they did just beat U of L, knocked you out of the ACC tournament. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. Or
we're 1-1 with them. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. But I could definitely see Missouri beating Purdue. I probably just need to play it smart. Just go with Purdue. Yeah, I'm getting a little cute. In the West. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. We're doing Bracket Monday here on Kentucky Roll Call. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line 502. 414-1450. There you go. I've only been saying that number for 10 years.
SEC went 8-5 in the first round last year, by the way.
8-5. Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty good.
Glad we were one of the 8. Gameday Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Visit Gameday Men's Health, defining a new era in men's health. All right, Peak. The Arkansas Razor Hogs are your SEC tournament champions. The Cats bow out on Friday. We get to it was fun. It was fun getting to do those little pregame shows, and I'm glad that you were able to chime in on Friday, Peak, from the concourse. Kentucky had its chances.
Sure did.
We've seen that game before. We've seen that game before a couple times. The Cats kept it respectable. They were close. Could have you make some shots. Andre Yelovich. Wayne Brady's really going to have to Yelovich. This is getting out of control. It's getting,
that was good. Have you used that before?
I used it on the postgame show.
Okay, all right. I haven't heard it yet.
On the postgame show. It's a lot of fun. Once you say it once, though, just so you know, you're never going to get to see Andre Yelovich the same. Every time he misses a shot in your head.
Wayne Brady going to have to.
Yelovich.
Yeah, well.
Just make your shots, Yelovich. That's what you're there for. You're the spread for. The spread.
Man, there's a couple guys this year that just did not live up to my expectations one bit. And Andrea Yelovich, one of them. You would see it in spurts. He scored, 7 of the first 11 points in the opening game versus LSU, had a couple buckets around the rim, hit a 3. He shot 28% from 3 this season. I just expected that number to be much higher. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be a 40% three-point shooter. I expected maybe 7 percentage points higher than that, and maybe at a little bit more volume. And even his free throw shooting, he shot 53% from the free throw line this season. Just not at all the guy that I thought Kentucky was going to get. Jasper Johnson was another one that really, he again had his moments. There were several games where without Jasper, you may not win. Tennessee on the road, probably one of them. He was able to keep Kentucky within striking distance with his little 8-0 run. But, yeah, I mean, Andre is kind of the main one. I mean, he's a starter. I just expected so much more out of him. Now maybe we'll get it in the tournament. Maybe Andrea is going to get hot. It's so weird, TJ, because I love his shot. Like, coming out of his hands.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, he looks confident. Like, it looks like he wants it.
Well,
Everything
shoots
looks good
everything
about
short.
it, except it not going in ever.
I swear, like 70% or more of his misses are short. I might go through and track them during the offseason.
I keep waiting for this game where it's like he's going to have a game where he hits 4 or 5 and Kentucky's just going to dominate.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still coming. I certainly hope that it is, but he gets those looks. Everything's great about it. Like, that's the offense working is him making that shot. And that's also the defense's concession, where it's just, all right, we got to defend Ortega. We can't let him get a full head of steam. Got to cut him off here. All right, but if we cut him off here, though, that means he's going to be open. We live with that. We'll just have to live with that. And, boy, are the opposing teams living with it and thriving with it, because Yelovich cannot get hot. UK, he wasn't alone, though. Kentucky couldn't really get anything going from deep. Florida will do that to teams. I did have a butt slapper take that I probably should have tweeted it out just to rile people up one way or another. But I do think part of the reason Vandy had its way with Florida, I think
Kentucky wore him down.
Yeah, like I think Kentucky kind of beat Florida on Saturday a little bit. I think assist to Kentucky for Vandy's win. Florida just looked tired. They looked worn out, and it was only their second game in 2 days. It's not like they should have been totally and completely gassed, but that was a really physical game.
Yeah.
And I actually, not to do moral victory, butt slapper, parade, you lost close
Hang
to
the
Florida,
banner.
blah, 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 blah. But I was glad to see Kentucky physically respond in that game.
Sure.
Because at Rupp Arena, Florida kind of punched them in the mouth. I didn't really care much for it. Florida's bigger and better than Kentucky is. Physically stronger, physically bigger, and just better than Kentucky is. And I have some major issues with that, and Mark Pope needs to address it immediately. Todd Golden is what's the radio appropriate word? He's like a cheeky little
Son of a gun.
douche.
Is that one okay?
I think I can
right.
get away. I think I can get away.
Yeah, he
with that.
kind of is, but can I?
But he's the guy that would one tell the teacher to collect on homework. But,
really, you think so?
But two,
okay.
he'd be like, Johnny said that. Johnny did this, and then when the teacher looked away, he'd like poke him with a fork or something like that. That's what Todd Golden.
Eddie Haskell.
Yeah, he's a little Eddie Haskell, and his little hair really is annoying. Like the way he greases it up and pinpoints it up.
If he was your coach, would you love this though?
No,
you would not.
Well,
because he lost. Because he talked a bunch of trash after beating Kentucky.
The hair,
He got
absolutely
hammered.
not. Somebody needs to tell him, just like, have normal hair, dude. Who are you trying to attract? And unfortunately, we know the answer to that question.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
We know the answer to the question, and we don't need to get into it any more than that.
The Todd Golden files.
The hair really bugs me. I'm okay with him being honest about how they have success against an opponent. And I wish more coaches would take that approach.
Yes.
It's not disrespectful to say, hey, we dominated them on the glass, or Denzel Aberdeen was inefficient.
It's also interesting.
And it's different, and it's just true to say that stuff. Now, I think he is enjoying twisting the knife in a little bit and dumping a little extra salt packets in the wound when he says, Kentucky never led 1 second against us. It's true, by the way. And if we have an issue with Todd Golden being a bit cheeky, well, we got to stop it then, right? Mark Pope, like, you got to do something.
We tied him. We were tied this time.
And it is embarrassing to not have the lead against any program, let alone if Florida's good and a national title contender and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But that is not Kentucky basketball. So that is embarrassing. And just being okay with UK showing some fight on Friday is another issue. And it's another SEC tournament without Kentucky playing on the weekend. And, Peak, I know you get worked up and fired up about all that stuff. But Kentucky has to be better next year. And just because we don't want Todd Golden to keep having our number.
Yeah.
He is annoying. The best way to it'll make winning that much more satisfactory.
Yeah, and I can tell Mark Pope does not like losing to Todd Golden. So let's beat him next year. But it was 20-20, TJ, and I didn't have a whole lot of hope, and it wasn't like, it felt kind of fluky in a way to even be tied. I mean, Mo Diabate was part of the 10-0 run by scoring 8 points, including 2 threes. And Mo Diabate, if he comes back next year, will we have a game again where Mo Diabate makes back-to-back 3-point shots? This whole tournament was weird. Brandon Garrison and Mo Diabate each hit as many threes as Otega Owe. And Owe shot 12 times from behind the arc. But where the game got again, it was the same thing in Rupp Arena. They cut it to 20-19, allowed a 13-0 run. These nearly identical script in Nashville, except Kentucky got one extra point to tie it at 20. Then Florida goes on a 13-0 run. Let me just run through real fast the 6 possessions on offense that Kentucky had. You had 3 Jasper Johnson shots in a row. One was blocked in an air ball. One was a step back 3, and another was a drive to the basket where she scored. And then you had an Andrea Yelovich backing his man down, and you just know, like, he's going to shoot. He has made up his mind. He's shooting the basketball, and everyone else can just sit around and wait. Otega Owe, 2 bad shots in a row. There was a total of 1 pass on each of those possessions, except for the one that Jasper took himself, which was actually 2 of them. I'm looking here. So just a few passes. You got 2 points out of that, and that was pretty much. So I said 13-0 run. I guess it was a 13-2 run, whatever it was. Or no, the Jasper bucket I think tied it. So there you go. There's the 2 points. That's bad offense when we're still doing this. Oh, there was a Brandon Garrison missed layup that literally ricocheted off the backboard. I'll chalk that one up to not. He probably misses it anyway, but the Wilson Evo ball didn't help either.
The Wilson Evo ball, that time of the year, huh?
It is. Wilson Evo season is back, and Kentucky did not shoot the ball well in any of the games in Nashville. Either did Florida. Florida actually played terrible, I thought, on Friday, and just did enough to get out of there with the win versus Kentucky, and then they continued playing poorly against Vanderbilt. So on the flip side, there is one team that I guess figured out how to shoot with the Wilson Evo ball, and it was Arkansas. I mean, 63% from 3 yesterday, TJ. Where did that come from? I guarantee it. And I haven't looked up every game that Calipari's coached, but I guarantee you, against high-level competition, Calipari has never had a team that shot over 23s and was 60% from 3. That is insanity. And it should have. I mean, honestly, they make 15 threes, and the game was still like up for grabs in the final 2 minutes. That's insane. And I'll just say this really fast. What's going on right now with the national media and their praising of John Calipari and he's still got his fastball. He's still all right. I will give him this.
Right, this time of the year, I can see.
I even said on Twitter, Matt and TJ, that there was a part of me that John Calipari did so much for the state. He gave Kentucky 4 banners and a lot of happiness. And people have been clowning on him for years, and there's just a slight part of me that was kind of happy for him to be a champion again. And, of course, he can't just have the win. He has to use his press conference to talk about the name on the back of the jersey and blah, 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 and use it. Always recruiting, TJ. That's true. He's always recruiting, and he has to take his shots at Kentucky, and that's fine. And there's a lot of teams that talk about the name on the front of the jersey, but obviously there's been one that's been the whole message for the last 2 seasons. So it was obviously about Kentucky, and that's fine. You won the SEC championship. That's great. You beat an 11-seed Oklahoma. You beat a 15-seed Ole Miss, who was on their 4th game in 4 days, and you needed an extra 5 minutes to do it. And then you shot 63% and beat Vanderbilt. So you went through an 11, a 15, and a 4. Hey, whatever. I would take it. Kentucky wins 2 more games in the regular season, and that's their path to the SEC championship. All right, fine. That's great. Here's what I don't understand. This narrative that, well, Kentucky, you all just missing out. Yeah, I would love to have Darius Acuff. But, TJ, would Kentucky fans honestly be, like, super thrilled with how the season went? This is his best point guard. I'll say he's absolutely the best scoring point guard that he's had. You can put Brandon Knight close in that conversation, but as far as offensive point guards go, Darius Acuff is probably his best one. And he has Malik Thomas, who's another great shooter. This is a really talented Arkansas team. He played 10 ranked teams this year. He had a losing record, 4-6. He lost by 22 to Auburn. He lost to a Kentucky team that really should have been 9-9 in conference because they should have beaten them. He lost to them at home. He lost to Florida by 34. Lucky, I mean super lucky to have gotten out of that game with Winthrop with a win and Samford. But he won the SEC championship, and I always say that's a good season, that's a great season. But to win a trophy, it's a great season. But we're acting like he's got a 4 seed. Like, if Arkansas was up there and people are talking about that's the team that's cutting down the nets, no, they're talking about can they pull off an upset possibly in the Sweet 16 and maybe get to the Elite 8. And maybe they will. And so part of it is, well, let's see how it plays out before we have the narrative of, oh, I bet you guys are upset that you don't have Cal. But I'd like to have some of his players. That's an easy yes. But he has gone now 11 years without a 1 seed. And I will say this until we have a different seeds winning this thing consistently. You need to have a 1 seed to win a national championship. I mean, you just go 25 of the last 34 years, a 1 seed has won it. A 2 seed's won it twice, maybe 3 times. You need to get a 1 seed. And he is, because of his lack of attention to detail and I focus on my team. I don't worry about what other teams do. And his losing games that you shouldn't lose with a much more talented team, it is costing him real opportunities at getting to Final Fours and national championships. There is no reason that 2017 Kentucky team should have lost to a Tennessee team with a losing record in the SEC with Bam, Monk, and Fox. No way.
NBA second leading score, highest leading score ever.
That's right.
That's true.
Bam Adebayo.
No reason to lose to UCLA at home. And really, like, that, even losing to Kansas was really good that year, so fine. But if you don't lose to Tennessee, if you don't lose to, who else they lose to? Louisville, UCLA? I mean, this is consistent with Calipari, that he just continues to lose games that he shouldn't lose, and therefore he's really putting a ceiling on what his team can do in the postseason, because now they got to pull off upsets. And
they got a pretty tough draw.
Yeah, that just kind of infuriated me last night. I'm happy that Cal won. Good for him. But I just don't get where the national media. I mean, didn't the national media hate this guy for 15 years when he was at Kentucky? Now he's a hero again?
You got to look at it as, if you're at the University of Kentucky, you let go a Hall of Fame head coach.
We didn't. He left on his own. He chose to because he couldn't handle the heat. Because he's a sore loser.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to think, we can think that. He was on a lifetime contract. That dude was not going to go anywhere unless the fan base wanted him out. But at the same time, it comes down to something you guys have brought up 100 times, is just win games. If you're Kentucky and you just win your basketball games, this narrative doesn't happen. There was, as soon as you release Coach Cal, there was always the slight chance that if Mark Pope comes out rough, this narrative is going to happen. Like, that's just what happens when you release a coach of his caliber, whether you like it or not. It's just how it is.
No, if he goes to the Final Four this year, then you got to eat it.
When was the last time Kentucky won an SEC championship?
2018.
Cal's done it in 2 years at Arkansas.
Yeah, where was this? I mean,
I get
again,
the
though,
point
he
you're
did
making.
have look, it's impressive, and I'm not. Anytime you win a championship, it's impressive. But he did have maybe the easiest road to it. Now he won enough games that he got the double bye. That's so good for him.
I get the point you're making. I'm just saying that this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that this narrative is being thrown out there.
What's even the narrative?
He's making the point that the narrative is that Kentucky is jealous of Calipari and Arkansas' success, and they would rather have him back or whatever.
Oh, okay, I hear you. Okay. No, I was enjoying the back and forth between you two. They won the SEC tournament. He's going to have some flowers there. It's open locker rooms. You don't get to hear from a lot of these guys, so you're going to get assistant coaches that are going to say things. I think a lot of this stems from, who was it, the Bruiser Flint quote from Kyle Tucker, where he said that, I don't think that he was treated fairly at Kentucky. So it feels like back to drawing the line in the sand and, hey, Cal, you didn't win enough. And we were going to judge what Cal did at Arkansas and what Kentucky did post-Calipari. And that was a point for Calipari winning in the SEC tournament. I would say it's still a close score. It was big that Kentucky was able to get the win this year down in Fayetteville. But it's not done. The score keeps going. The game keeps going. But that was a win for Calipari. All right, hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call, coming up next on the Big X.
Say my name. You acting kind of shady.
and Peak.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Stephen Peak, producer Matt Childers. I'm TJ Walker. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line. Redefining men's wellness, no shortcuts, just results. Go to GamedayMensHealth.com, 502-414-1450. Bracket Monday. Did we get to a conclusion there with that Calipari discussion, Peak? Anything else that you'd want to add?
No.
I don't know if we finished where you'd like.
I did say, he's one of the great coaches, still he's one of the great coaches still coaching in college basketball. He's a Hall of Famer. I respect the hell out of him. I think that, I'm reading some of the text right now. There's one, let's see. Steven is now trying to downplay Cal's SEC championship. I mean, I guess I am. At the end of the day, you won't remember who they had to play and who, all of that to get
Correct.
there. So
it's an SEC championship.
It's an SEC championship, and I'm downplaying it in the moment. But when you look back in a few years, again, you won't remember that they played they had a 4-win Ole Miss team took them to overtime in the semifinals, and so and a part of me is happy that he got another championship. But there is I just don't like that the national media took the spin that, boy, Kentucky fans, I'm sure I don't like watching them win the title,
Like Jim Boeheim?
What's that?
So you mean like Jim Boeheim?
Yeah. Oh, yes, him. There was few. Dan Wolken actually had a take today on Twitter that I agreed with, and he said, see if I can find that. Give me two seconds. He said,
while you're looking at it, are you ready? Do you have
he said this narrative is incorrect. He got stale in his last few years at Kentucky and was not doing a good job. He needed a wake-up call and a fresh start. Status quo was not an option for either side. It was a good and necessary move for him. If you go back to the 2019-20 season, Cal was losing to a quad 4 or mid-major every year, starting with Evansville. That was the last time Kentucky was ranked number 1. Lost to Evansville. Had lost to Richmond. Lost to UNC Wilmington, St. Peter's, Oakland. I mean, there's just too many of those. And so, again, he might go on a run and go to the Final Four, and then then there will be some buyer's remorse. But congratulations to Arkansas and Calipari. I don't want to talk about them anymore. I don't think, according to the texters, they don't want me to talk about it anymore either. So we can move on to other
well, the texters don't dictate the show. I was curious what more you had to say about it, but here's one thing I will say, and I'm not talking specifically to you, but as a fan base, we can't be happy to be so large, probably one of the biggest fan bases, and loud and boisterous and borderline obnoxious, and then be surprised that media members don't like us. People didn't like Calipari. They've always not liked Kentucky fans. It was a match made in heaven to hate.
True.
And Cal has left, and I think you've seen some media members show they never really totally hated Cal. They just hated Cal at Kentucky.
They used to hate him at Memphis though too because of the one and done thing. But since people got over that, they don't have that to hate him for.
Like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
They've moved on.
Well,
from
he
some of
was
that.
cheating, but they didn't think he was.
Who was?
Cal.
How
at
was
Memphis.
he? How so?
Derrick Rose?
That was an ACT score.
What do you want Cal to do about that?
Or SAT, whichever one.
Does he need to be responsible?
It's not legal.
Does he need to hold everybody's
Cheating.
hand to
Yeah,
go walk in
he is
and
the
take
head
the test
coach.
for him? He needs to go to the high school
He
recruit
recruited
kids and make sure that that they took the test score and it wasn't their brother or whoever it was.
He brought him in.
Yeah, that's totally cheating. People didn't like him. People didn't like him for that reason. You're right, producer Matt. To even bring that up, for better or for worse, people didn't like him for that reason. But people don't like Kentucky. That's just the way that it is. The only thing that we can control is winning, and that shuts them up. And we haven't been doing enough of it for about a decade now, and that's got to change. And I have expressed this time and time again that I don't really trust the leadership at Kentucky to get all this figured out. But the good news is it's Kentucky basketball. It has survived the test of time. It's been the best program, really, if you take into consideration just taking in all the decades. It's been as consistent and as good as any of them. And these 2020s have been brutal. And you got to turn it around. That's an us thing, though. It's not a Calipari thing. It's not an Arkansas thing. It's not a national media thing. It's on us. It's all in-house. We just got to be better. And we've got the money for it. We've got the support for it. You just hope that the people making the decisions knows what they're doing, and I'm not so sure that they do. So it leads us in quite the quagmire.
Kansas cannot pass Kentucky in all-time wins, even if they win it all.
That's good.
They can't even tie.
They've got to, again, they could lose to St. John's there in that second round, and if they don't, I can't envision them getting past Duke in the Sweet 16, so they're probably not adding a great amount of wins this March. Kentucky, unfortunately, probably not either, at least if you're going from Vegas, but that's good. That's good. So we get a reset for next year.
Yeah, we'll still be the all-time winningest program when the ball is tipped to start the 2026-27 season, TJ. And
all right.
that's the benefit, though, of playing on Wednesday at the SEC tournament. Kentucky picked up a couple wins. First time since 2018. They won 2 games in the SEC tournament.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah, really good.
Texter says, Matt, I'll admit Cal may have cheated if you admit Rick Pitino had underage strippers. I can't say that.
That's a nice little end of the text there.
Do you want to admit that?
I mean, he did.
Okay.
They literally did.
Texter, your turn now.
He's the head coach. It's his responsibility to make sure that stuff doesn't happen.
Matt admitted it. It's your turn now. Come follow through, Texter.
Some texter also said, so based on his own logic, producer Matt must agree the 2013 Natty doesn't count.
By technicality, it doesn't, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with it.
Wow. So you agree the NCAA made the right call taking away U of L's national title banner because Rick Pitino knew what was going on.
I don't agree with that. Now you're twisting my words. I agree that the NCAA made a statement. I don't have to agree with the statement.
Okay. All right. Did you go to the Louisville City match on Saturday?
I did not get to.
I was out there.
They're rolling again.
Took the kids, and it was a blast. I really wish they had more afternoon games because you could.
Hopefully they don't lose in the first round again.
I know.
In November, too. The season that ends in November has just now started.
Crazy. So what is it, December,
like
January, February, 3 months?
So how do you even, just fake that these games matter? I mean, they do because it, goes for the totals and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, the boys in purple really are hot. Let's hope that they can keep their form over the next checks calendar 7 months.
Well, I honestly, I've argued with people that the championship needs to be in August.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get to September, I kind of check out of it. Because I get really into it in the summer because there's just not a lot else going on. And then by the time you get to where the games really matter, your crowd isn't as big because it's colder. But also, they're trying to play games on Saturday. Well, I mean, there's Louisville, Kentucky football games. And even if both teams aren't very good, people go to those games.
Yeah, so it's fun to just have a little scratch on the game when you go out to the games. I just like to sometimes have the tickets be paid for, right? If you can make a bet, and then otherwise you're paying double for the tickets, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's not any life-changing money or anything like that. But we had a big group, and it was awesome. The weather was great. It was a really, really nice Saturday. Checking out the boys in purple. But anytime I get a big group or we get a big group together to go to a Louisville City match, it's always 0-0. Always is. Just the way that it always goes. So I bet some unders, and I bet Louisville City to win as well. And the unders were 2.5, and I think Louisville City had 3 goals in the first 25 minutes or something like that.
I have a hot take about
it was kind of just hilarious to be all right, all my bets are over within the first 30 minutes of the soccer match. But at least it was exciting. It was fun, and
that's way more.
The kids got to see the smoke and the drummers and all that fun stuff. So
that is fun.
It was a great time Saturday. You had another take? I've got some more just random stuff to bring up. But what was your Louisville City
It's real
take?
fast. I just think that if you're going to you're trying to get people to go to these games and experience the sport, sometimes for a lot of people for the first time, don't allow a game to end 0-0 in America. If it's 0-0, go straight to PKs at the end of 90, and then have the winner of that PK, they get 2 points or something instead of the 3.
A 1.5.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with you with that take, but then you start to get the idea that you're changing the sport in America too much just to pander to certain people, and then it almost makes it like a laughing stock of the sport. Remember back when the MLS they changed their PKs to where they did the run-up system?
That was great. I actually loved that. That was a lot better.
Awful.
The NASL. That was more fun. There was
where they ran from midfield.
It was such a joke looking.
It was kind of silly.
But it was way more fun than how they do it now. Now it's just there's not as much drama in it.
It's just
It's
the
more
point
like
that
hockey.
every other country plays it this way. Why does America have to change it?
Okay, well, we can play by all the same rules then, but just don't allow a game to end 0-0 because that is actually that's dumb. I don't need to go to a game and have it end an hour and a half later the way that it started. I don't like that for overseas. I think they should fix it for over there. I know why they do it because they're like, well, you can get a point. I'm fine with it ending in a tie. Just don't make it to where people pay their money and then like they don't see anybody score. I think that's bad for a game that you're trying to grow interest in. The World Cup's going to be here. There's probably going to be a World Cup bump for Louisville City. They haven't gotten that yet. TJ,
Maybe they do the run-ups to the World Cup. Change the rules for World Cup.
I would love it. Yeah, the thing that sucks for Louisville City is since they've started, they haven't gotten the World Cup bump yet because in 2018, the United States didn't qualify. And then in 2022, it was played when Louisville City was out of their season. So this is the first time that they are getting there's always new fans that you kind of scoop up along the way, especially with the United States hosting it. So this could be a big year for them.
Yeah, I was talking to Dugan on the way in, and I briefly had forgotten that the World Cup was this summer. This happens about 3 times to me a month where I'm like, oh, yeah, World Cup this summer. That's
Gonna
great.
try to go to a game? Gonna pay $4,000 to go to one?
Absolutely not, but
All
I'll
right.
be watching all of them. I'm very bummed that Louisville City won't be a training destination anymore. A team was going to
Oh, what? Yeah.
I don't know.
It was Germany. It was actually like a big club that was going to swing by here.
Yeah, they. Well, I don't know. Maybe that club's still swinging by, but a country was going to have like its home base in Louisville and use Louisville City for training and stuff like that. But they have since decided not to do that for whatever
Well, that's
reason.
disappointing.
Unfortunately, FIFA decided that I am not of credential worthy, so I won't be at any of the games. I won't be credentialed for the games.
Did you try?
I did. Of course, I tried.
Oh, that's awesome. I wish I would have tried just to have the email saying no.
Yeah, they sent me an email. I was like, "You're not even close to being good enough, buddy."
Did they really say that?
No, not really.
What'd they say? Just no?
It's this long, drawn out, basically essay of why I don't get why I'm not eligible or something like that. And I was like, you could have just said no.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good that you tried. Would have been cool if you would have gotten credentialed.
Just sneak in there for a little bit.
Did the storms wake you all up last night?
I was awake.
Oh, you were just already awake.
I was also awake.
Yeah. What time?
You all both were just awake.
I was awake at midnight.
They woke me up.
What time did they wake you up?
Like midnight.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know if there were more storms.
12:15.
Okay. I followed. Turned the TV to some Weinberg.
Yeah. How was Mark?
As soon as we turned it on, he's doing is like, you're gonna get a quick punch, just a quick punch, and he was doing this. I was like, I love this guy. This is so good. Like, I almost welcome bad storms just so I can watch him break it down. I said almost.
You're not going that
all those
far.
people. I hope
but
you're not listening to CP.
You've thought about it, but you're not going to go that
Yeah,
far.
it's just like maybe he needs to find other ways to be entertaining.
They were pretty gnarly. Hopefully everybody was safe. Hopefully everybody was being safe. I was about ready to say listening to their local weather people, but then I'm going to contradict myself. Had you all can't relate to this, but in another capacity, I'm sure you all probably can. The old dilemma of waking up the kids to go to the basement or not waking up the kids to go to the basement. Always a fun conversation to have with your wife in the middle of the night. I got a bit of an undressing last night, which I didn't totally which I didn't totally appreciate.
Good
but
for you.
You just not that kind of undressing, unfortunately.
Say something for the rest of us, DJ.
But a different kind of undressing. Didn't involve Hidden Valley Ranch either, which is gross. People forget ranch, blue cheese, all that stuff. Just totally and completely disgusting dressing for the most part. Incredibly overrated. But no, it was funny though. It was just like middle of the night, cranky, not enough sleep sort of stuff. The sirens were going off for a little while. I guess she finally heard them, and she wanted to scramble and go to the basement. And I was like, well, I'm keeping an eye on it. I've got the radar pulled up. I've got Twitter pulled up. I'm monitoring the situation. Every wife should feel so comforted when they hear those words from their husband. I'm monitoring the situation. And I was. And it really wasn't like Linden was not in the thick of it. It was past us. It was south of us. It was not really, we weren't really totally in the line of the heat of this storm. So I was keeping an eye on it. I just didn't want to wake a 4 and a 1-year-old up to go to the basement for 20 minutes just for the likelihood of go right back up. And I realize this is like, it's my kids, so you better be safe than sorry. But I promise you, I had a good grip on it. But it was funny. She was just like, "Oh, okay, because you're on Twitter, we're gonna be okay. Because you've got you know that a tornado's not gonna hit our house because you've got Twitter pulled up, and we're gonna be okay." I was just laughing. I was like, "Yeah."
Well, were you right?
Well, everything ended up being okay for the most. Again,
Twitter knows what it's doing.
Twitter knew what it was doing. No, but I did. I felt like I had a good feel that there was not a tornado in our proximity or our neighborhood. I'm not a weather person. I could be wrong. But last night I was not, thankfully. But just those fun decisions you get to make at 12:30 at night with your wife, deciding or whether or not to go to the basement. We didn't this time. We normally do, but I felt okay. I felt all right. But hopefully everybody's safe and you made the right decisions in your households. 502-414-1450, and then the only other random thing that I had written down was I crushed a ball in the parking lot. You know how there's a preschool attached to our station?
Oh,
not attached.
Just on the way in?
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Were the kids playing with it?
No.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
That was the only good thing is that there was nobody that saw it.
Yeah.
But there's a ball right in the middle of the
Hopefully
road.
they're not listening either.
There's a ball right in the middle of the road, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just knock it. Like I'll turn my tire to kind of like scoot the ball. Like to have the car play
like
soccer.
Rocket League?
Like Rocket League.
Yeah,
perfect. Like Rocket League. And I instantly just ran right over and it popped. It popped instantly. And I was like, oh, did I move it? I don't see it. And then I was like, oh man.
Not as accurate with the tires.
Luckily, I will not be replacing the ball for the preschool. But it was a really old, crappy ball for what it was worth.
Maybe you're getting them a new one, I guess.
I think that's the reason why it didn't scoot and got caught under is because if it was properly inflated, it would have moved the way that I intended. But because it was slightly deflated, it probably got caught under my tire and then popped. But that was pretty embarrassing and felt dumb for doing that. But, yeah.
This text, I love my kids, so we went down to the basement last night.
Yeah,
Johnny Walker.
Yeah, it's good text. Yeah, I bet you did, Johnny. Another texter on the Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450 says Mallory Schnell and her team were mocking the sirens going off in St. Matt's because it was so far away. I too was monitoring the situation. They were mocking it. We eventually turned the TV on. They were laughing about it. They were having a good. They were like, "It's past you. It's basically past you. It might as well be past you."
That's WHAS 11.
I don't know.
I think so. That's my old station.
Your old stomping grounds?
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I had some takes about that, but I'll save it for another time.
It takes about what? WHAS? The old stomping grounds?
Yeah. I'm flipping through all the channels. It's not that they're not delivering accurate stuff. It's just that when I turned it on, I said, they didn't show them on the screen for a very long time, and they were showing like a screenshot of the computer they're looking at, and I'm like, any chance they're just doing this from home? Like this looks like you would show it on Zoom. This looks like a YouTube stream almost.
Were they?
They were not. After a while, I had to keep it on the station because I was telling Jacqueline, I was like, is there a chance they're gonna cut and she's gonna be in her kitchen and like a cat is gonna jump up onto the screen? Like, are we gonna see one of those? Because this I don't know what. So they're just taking a screenshot of their computers. So it's like they're showing all these different models, but I have no idea what I'm looking at. And then they end up cutting to them in the studio. So I was like, okay, good. I just had to make sure that they were there, because there's a guy who does the YouTube streaming.
Yes.
Have you ever watched any of his work? I actually enjoy it during I remember there was like the tornado that went through Western Kentucky this year, and he was like calling it as it was coming that way. And I bet you a bunch of the like meteorologists from the other stations, I bet they hate on that guy in private all the time. This guy doesn't know. He's putting lives at risk. He has no idea. I'm sure that's all they're doing.
Do you think the media comes down on WHS 11 fans for losing Stephen Peake like the media does for
it was a big
Kentucky
deal.
losing Cal?
Yeah.
I imagine that's a good point, producer Matt. Another texter says the NCAA exonerated Cal by name in both the Rose and Canby cases. Your thoughts, producer Matt? Exonerated.
Exonerated. That's a big word.
It is?
I think so.
So
but they still have to lose their banners. That is stupid.
Well, but I think the NCAA didn't say that wrongdoing didn't occur. They just said Calipari
Cal had no part of it.
Didn't have anything to do with it because he would never cheat. Good guy. Another texter says, our buddy Patrick Murphy played pool during the tornado watch in Louisville after Pool League. I was reinstated to one of my favorite bars last night, and I was able to make $20 after Pool League gambling against teammates. Well, that's good, Patrick Murphy.
Nice.
That's great.
Pool shark.
Happy Pat Madness. Happy Pat Madness. Usually the NCAA men's, women's tournament starts around my birthday. How likely was Kentucky making the tournament? Also, when will trivia be this week? Well, we'll have to figure out trivia because this the schedule with the high school tournament games and our own schedule, we'll have to figure it out. Maybe Thursday. Maybe we don't have it this week. I don't know, Patrick. And I know you asked. Patrick reached out and wanted to play trivia for his birthday. We'll try to figure something out, Patrick. We'll get something on the books hopefully for that. That would be a lot of fun to be able to have you participate. Glad you won $20 though. That's a good deal. And have a good birthday too.
Hopefully he's not fighting people at the bar this time.
Yes, absolutely. We say no to that. First captain to run to the top of the stadium after a tie, his team wins. Oh, when soccer ties? That's a good idea.
I like it. I like the idea of taking one guy off the field every couple minutes in overtime and just till it's like 1-on-1.
Yeah.
What if you just switched it to how they did it at the Olympics, where it's just instead of 11-on-11, it becomes like 5-on-5?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Let's mix it up.
This texter is getting he's passionate about Calipari and Matt Jones. Text in frequently about that. It says it's dishonest revisionist history to pretend like Cal wasn't run off. Matt Jones has a 2-hour show 5 days a week. We're adults. We can admit KSR, the radio show, was trying to get Cal to leave for a few years, 5 days a week, and it had an effect. You're a good dude, Peak. So's Cal. We're all dealing in opinions here. I'll always be a Cal supporter when he isn't playing us. Teach their own, though. I understand folks not rooting for him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think when Cal's done with Arkansas, we're going to have a Calipari night in Rupp Arena, and we're all going to cheer him on. And, honestly, I wouldn't be mad at this point if when Cal returns, it's not going to happen. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think. I wouldn't be totally opposed to Cal getting a standing ovation, but it's not going to happen. But there will be a day when Cal gets to come back. I say this all the time. I totally appreciate Calipari. I got a poster hanging up in my office still of Calipari's face. Like I still respect what he did, especially his first 10 years at Kentucky. And, things, I agree with what Dan Wilkins said, though. Things got stale, and I actually think Cal works the best motivated, not quite as motivated as Mark Stoops, but like when Calipari has an arch nemesis, he does really well. Like when you can almost track when Pitino left Louisville, that's sort of when Kentucky kind of got stale with Cal, and things stopped. You stopped getting one seed, stopped going to Final Fours. I think he liked beating Rick Pitino. That was his arch rival. There's a really good YouTube video about it. Type in Rick Pitino and John Calipari on YouTube, and there's a great video that explains their rivalry. He now gets to have that, but with Kentucky, and it motivates him. And his team came out, and the team wants to play for him when he has that energy. So, to the texter's point, I mean, Kentucky fans were kind of tired of, you finished, 8th in 2022? That was the last season where Kentucky did not lose 10 games or more. So that was a good year, but you just lost to St. Peter's. Like the Reed and Rob team, I think we all just expected that to be better. And to lose some of the games they lost to Florida, the UNC Wilmington loss, and it was unfortunate. Like Jack Golke goes off. Like that's not Calipari's fault, but it is the coaching staff's fault, and not even just Calipari. His assistants, Kyle Tucker would talk to us after games and be like, I don't even know what the assistants do. Like I don't know why he's letting these guys drag his legacy down, and why he doesn't cut ties with them. Well, we'll see how this tournament goes for him. They love him in Arkansas right now, so good for him. And I think he said Kentucky's a 10-year job. Maybe it just is. And when somebody's there for a long time, we did the same thing with Mark Stoops. We ran him off, sort of. We had to eventually give him money to get him to go away. And that's one thing you can appreciate Cal for, too. But
Cal was ran off, but
People just also get tired. It's like the same guy doing the same stuff. The stuff he would say to the fans just wasn't hitting like it used to.
He just needed to win.
Yeah,
And he wasn't winning.
He wasn't winning
really
enough.
It's really that simple. We gave him an avenue for another year if he wanted it, and he said he took the off ramp. He said, it's probably best for everybody. And he was right to do that. I wish it would have worked out. I think most people do. He just needed to win more, whether it was the SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, both, one of them, either or, doesn't matter. Ended up not happening. Life moves on. I'm more worried about Kentucky than I am John Calipari, and Kentucky's got to be better. That's where I'm at with this stuff.
Do you think that last thing about Cal? Do you think by Arkansas winning the SEC championship, that's just like the last thing Mark Pope needed? Like, does that do anything for the pressure for Mark Pope?
It doesn't help just because there is this scoreboard of Kentucky versus Cal. And we're all keeping an eye on it, whether, I can say I'm worried about Kentucky, and I am.
Monitoring the situation.
I'm monitoring the situation. I have to at least acknowledge that it does exist, and I want to win because I want Kentucky to win this breakup. Everybody always wants to win the breakup. I want Kentucky to win the breakup. But that was a point for Cal, but they'll play next year. We'll get to see him again. You'll get a chance to have the last laugh, and he'll have the chance to have the last laugh. I think an equalizer would be a Final Four. Which one can get back to the Final Four first?
Yeah.
I don't think either one's probably going to have to worry about it this year just based on the way Arkansas having a potential Sweet 16 game with Arizona is pretty brutal.
Yeah, they're good.
And
I actually picked them to win it all.
That's if you get past Wisconsin, too. So Arkansas got and Hawaii in the first round is a low-key, kind of sneaky, tough game there. They'll be all right, I think. But
he won't lose another first-round game. It won't happen.
No, I think you're right about that. Coaches successfully used it against him. Yeah, but he still had that Fox and Monk team after that platoon year. So
even the Tyler Hero team was really good, and all they had to do was beat an Auburn team they'd beaten twice, and they didn't even have their best player. And the one thing, like, you go through his tournament losses at Kentucky, they are like it's kind of insane how the worst one. His worst tournament loss at Kentucky, I think, was the 7-point loss to West Virginia. Like, as far as point spread.
Really?
Yeah. The Liggins missed 3 in 2011 in the Final Four. You had national title in 2012. 2014 was a one-possession game with 6 minutes left. 2015, one-possession game with 1 minute left. 2016, that might be the worst loss was to Indiana.
Absolute heartbreakers.
Buzzer beater
really
in
look back
17.
at all of them. Just some brutal, brutal losses. If not just in the manner of how they unfolded, just like the opportunity that was wasted, if nothing else. Rocket League mentioned on KRC. Incredible. If this was talked about, sorry, I missed it. When was the last time Kentucky has been truly screwed in the bracket? I think
2017.
We are way too paranoid and have to go back a pretty long time to find one.
I thought 2017.
17 for sure.
18 to an extent, but they did lose like 4 or 5 in a row. 4 or 5 and 3 in a row.
16 was bad.
Yeah, that one wasn't good either. Putting us with Indiana as a 4 seed after winning the SEC championship. Now they only played one ranked team in conference, and it was Texas A&M the last game of the SEC championship game. So they didn't have a real tough schedule that year. But I thought 2017, to give Kentucky a 2 seed and then pair them with North Carolina, who I thought was the number 1 overall 1 seed, that just didn't make any sense.
Well,
to me.
and UCLA had won at Rupp Arena. To have that be your Sweet 16 opponent, I thought was a pretty crappy draw as well. So 17,
Wichita State in the second round.
16, 15. Didn't care. I didn't like that Wisconsin was on the same side because I thought that was the only team that could beat Kentucky.
2011.
I wanted them to be on the totally opposite side, but you may have seen them in the championship game anyway. So
2011, I thought they kind of got screwed.
2011, definitively.
They made the Final Four, and it all worked out, but I thought that they kind of hosed Kentucky.
It has been about like a 5-year stretch where I've liked the draw for Kentucky, which is easily the longest stretch that we've ever had. So naturally, when Kentucky gets back to being like dominant, and 1 and 2 seeds, I'm sure we'll get back to not liking
We'll get
the
Duke's
draw.
draw.
Yeah, exactly. Easy region, though. Texter says, South End Josh here. We need to get the U of L fan off this show. Hey, now, South End Josh. We love producer Matt. The U of L shows don't have UK people on, so I don't know why they get to invade the only 2 hours of UK coverage on a channel with their disruptive behavior. South End Josh. Hey, producer Matt, I've got your back, buddy.
There's also 4 hours of UK coverage on the show.
That's
right.
Yeah,
that's true.
Can't forget about Michael Bennett.
South End Josh here. Peak please stop the putty party for Miami, Ohio. They played no one good, and they have 0 quality wins. If we're keeping it a buck, they shouldn't have even been in to begin with. Pity invite. Think both local teams fail to make it out of the first weekend, unfortunately.
Oof. I said I'm fine with them getting the play-in game. I mean, that's it's a play-in game. Like they deserve an undefeated regular season, and I don't like, as a fan of a mid-major with Murray State, I hated that it all came down to just a couple of games in the conference tournament. You could go undefeated in your conference, and then it comes down to a couple of games on a neutral site to decide whether you get to go to the NCAA tournament or not. I do hate that, but no, I didn't think they deserved to be in the round of 64, but I thought this is the appropriate spot for them.
Yeah, and it really is sending kind of like a warning to the mid-majors that you better get somebody in the out-of-conference, even if you have to lower your price for a bye game. Oh, Miami tried. They did try. You see the SID released the emails. Don't care. They could have played for free, and I'm sure Ohio State would have said, hey, Miami, Ohio, you want to come play us for free? Yep, absolutely. Come tomorrow. Will you pick the date? We'd love to have you.
That's why they used to do the Bracket Busters. Do you remember that?
I do. Bracket Busters was always a good time.
Yeah, it was great because it was a game that was not – it was scheduled for a specific date, but they didn't know the opponent, and they would take the best mid-majors and pair them so that they would – usually you would end up with a mid-major playing a ranked mid-major.
Yeah, it was like think of like the ACC SEC Challenge, but it was fluid, and they flexed it basically. So you knew that you were playing somebody at your arena on this date, but you wouldn't know who until like a couple months before, or like
not even before. like Murray State didn't find out they were playing. Can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but it was the game that Dickie V came to, and it was this huge game.
It was that quick?
St. Mary's. It was within like a month. Like it was.
Well, that's great.
Murray State was having their great season, so they played Della Vadova at the CFSB Center. It was a really cool game, and Murray State beat them by like 20.
Cal Tucker tweeted, "Cal still got it," and he's the same guy who wrote the article titled "Cal has lost his way." Well, he found it. He found his way. Now he's back to getting it. The little puppy that lost its way.
It comes down to making shots, doesn't it? I mean, if you get Brazil and Wagner and I forget one other guy combined for 8 of 11, when DJ Wagner hit his third straight three, I was kind of just laughing. Like, oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, and Brazil hits none on Saturday and then hits like 5 on,
it was crazy.
On Sunday.
Now Calipari's back.
He's back.
He's back, baby. That's all. It just comes down.
No more. Darius Acuff has ruined his archaic offense. Now he's in the modern era.
It's just so funny. The offense is so good when the shots go in.
Another
it's almost like sometimes you just need to score baskets.
That's it. Yeah.
Sat, score, or strippers in your dorm room and an assistant coach trying to blackmail the head coach. I'll take the stat score scandal, says one texter.
I'm down to go scandal for scandal.
Yeah, but the stripper scandal is way more interesting, though.
Steven can't stand Cal won the SEC. Dude has a weird obsession with Cal, and he's trying to downplay Cal's SEC championship.
I have my Cal voodoo doll at home, too. I haven't talked about that yet, but,
I would take an easy SEC championship. I'd take any SEC championship.
Yes, absolutely. And I said that. People were getting on me on social media. That's just what happens. It is what it is. But I said that. Like, Arkansas earned that 3 seed. Kentucky had the opportunities there. They had to beat, 2 of Auburn, Missouri, Georgia, and Texas A&M. And if that was how Kentucky won their first SEC championships in 2018, I'd be celebrating it.
Yeah, I'd take it. I was really rooting for Ole Miss though. That was hilarious. 15 seed, and they were so
Travis
close.
Perry.
And I wonder what seed they would have been. Let's just say they would have won the SEC tournament, because if they would have beaten Arkansas, they would have had a fine chance to beat Vandy. They could have won that.
They would have had to been a play-in.
Would they've been? Well, I don't know. Like, what if they just make them like a 14 seed?
See, I was thinking about this as well, TJ, because
they wouldn't do that.
If they would have somehow won the SEC tournament, would we see? I feel like they would have been the play-in game, and Miami of Ohio probably wouldn't have been in.
I would say
based on the seed list, that's what we are led to believe.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, you're probably right though. Probably would have bumped Miami, Ohio out.
We got to take our final break. We'll read more text. It is Bracket Monday. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. Stephen Peak, producer Matt Childers, TJ Walker. music today, producer Matt?
You don't like Timbaland and One Republic?
I haven't cared for the music today. No, I haven't cared for the music today at all.
I've been all right with it, Matt.
I thought so. I mean, I thought it was pretty good songs.
It's not been the worst. Again, the worst is if you just played like heavy metal, punk rock, just people screaming into a microphone. But no,
We got one more break. Don't worry.
I would have wanted like NCAA tournament music, CBS, something like that on a day like today. Not too late to apologize.
I can just make the noises, TJ.
Too late. Welcome back. One final segment, Kentucky Roll Call. Hey, Stephen Peak, I've got some big news.
No.
You want to hear it?
Yes.
The 2026 Big X Sports Radio golf card is out and hot off the press. It's by far the best deal in the game. You can play at Park Mammoth. We love Park Mammoth. We got to get back down to Park Mammoth. Old Capitol, Elk Run, Valley View, Wooded View, Christmas Lake, and Santa Claus, Indiana. The card is valued at over $350, but you can purchase yours today for under $150. Supplies are limited. Get your card today at Big X Sports Radio golfcard.com. Okay, hold on. Big X Sports Radio
I'm going to try it out.
gold card today.
Oh, gold card.
No. That's just a typo. That's
Okay.
just a good old-fashioned typo. BigXSportsRadio.com or call 812-725-1457.
I see. It's right there on the front page. If you go to bigxsportsradio.com.
I'm gonna read. That's on the official script read. I'm gonna read that wrong every day that I do it. The card, you can purchase yours today. Supplies are limited. Get your card today at Big X Sports Radio gold card today at bigxsportsradio.com or call 812-725. So we just double typed it there. Just a classic double type. I'll fix it, and we'll be reading this now for the next 6 months, everybody. So I hope you're excited about that. If you know what, if you just go ahead and buy them all up, we won't have to read it for the next 6 months. If you take our supply away from us, I won't have to read this every day for the next 6 months. So you can go to bigxsportsradio.com or call 812-725-1457. Just say, I'm doing my part so we don't have to hear about the Big X Sports Radio golf card. An amazing deal. Park Mammoth, Old Capitol, Elk Run, Valley View, Wooded View, Christmas Lake, and Santa Claus, Indiana. I would advise that the golf card is worth it just for Park Mammoth alone, pretty much. Amazing course. But then you throw in all the other ones, which are also very nice. It really is, if you're a golfer, it's a great deal. Worth it for Mother's Day, Father's Day. And we will run out eventually. I'm joking about make me run out so I don't have to say it for the next 6 months. We always do run out. It's just how late in the summer do we get. So go ahead and lock yours in today, and then you can start using it. You can start getting the value immediately. 812-725-1457, bigxsportsradio.com. All right, more text, but Peak, I don't know, anywhere you want to go? Anything on your mind?
We can see where the text takes us.
Way too much Calipari talk today. Way more than I was anticipating.
Yeah, well,
I'm not blaming anybody.
He's an SEC champion, TJ. I was going to have to talk about it.
It's not too late for whoever is choosing this music to apologize to the listeners. That's a good text into the show.
Not going to ever apologize for playing Timbaland and Nelly. I'm not doing it. I refuse.
Well, I get why he did Nelly because of St. Louis, right?
No, I just like Nelly.
Oh. See, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I generally was just playing songs I liked.
He did say, like, oh, he's doing the St. Louis thing. So that made me think, like, what's the angle for all this other ones? Like, it's too late to apologize.
I appreciate you for thinking so highly of me, Steven. I was literally just playing songs I thought were nice.
Did you guys talk about how Nate Oates had another player in the wrong place at the wrong time? I have only, I've been arm's length from this story. I did see the headline. A player got in trouble for pot, and it's a felony, and it's a pretty big deal. But you were telling me it was like a pound of marijuana, Aiden Holloway?
Yeah, when I first saw it, as Alabama guard Aiden Holloway has been arrested for first-degree possession of marijuana and failure to affix a tax stamp, whatever.
Nate Oates either. Where is Alabama? Okay, they're in Kentucky's region. I thought it was actually a pretty good draw if you were an Alabama fan. You get Texas Tech without Toppin.
Yeah, he's Canadian. Did you know that? So he's like, what's the problem? Isn't it legal? Well, it's not. It's not in Alabama.
I don't know if you can have a pound of it.
Brittany Griner said the same thing in Russia?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But Alabama, I think they've got a pretty decent path to get to Michigan, most likely. And you know what? We're doing Bracket Monday. We're talking brackets. I think Georgia can give Michigan a game. That'll be fun Georgia has a front court that won't get totally and completely swallowed up, and they've got a back court if they hit shots. Have we said that today?
We've mentioned it. Yeah.
Texter says that former UK football player got popped for going like 100 passing Frankfurt with a car full of weed. Yeah, it's not smart. Don't break the law when you're breaking the law, as they say.
Double jeopardy. What is, we're fine.
Another texter says, TJ talking down to texters, time to pack your bags, bud. Which one dude did I talk down to? What did I say? Another texter says, this Arkansas team feels a lot like Robin Reed. Elite offensively, bad defensively. Front court will hold them back. I will say this front court that they have is just more physical than the front court Kentucky had. Like Trey Mitchell at times sometimes had to be like the enforcer. And he didn't ever want to bang or do anything. Trey Mitchell, he would go to the Andre Yelovich school of missing wide open threes from time to time.
He was so good in Canada.
But then
I think he got some back
progressively
problems.
Just seemingly got worse.
Yeah, I do think that injury to his back
he got
really.
back problems because he was 63 years old. That's why he got back problems. Can we have a stretch four, just consistently make threes? Derek Willis, where are you? Derek Willis, where are you Christmas? But replace it with Derek Willis.
Where are you, Christmas?
No, you say Derek Willis.
But I don't like that version.
Oh, you got to be fond of Derek Willis.
Yeah, he was almost a Cardinal.
Just
Just because I went to Bullitt East.
Almost a Purdue Boilermaker, too. Yeah, because you're a Bullitt East guy, right? You all got to stick together. What would you say to Derek Willis if he was listening to the radio show right now?
Where's he at in, like, Peru playing basketball? Congratulations, big guy.
Whoa. I feel like that there was a little bit of sass in your tone.
I met him, like, once.
You would, and how'd it go?
I mean, he's a cool dude.
Okay,
fine.
So you don't need to be snarky or mean.
I wasn't being snarky. I was going, congratulations.
The Peruvian basketball league.
I actually don't know what league he's. I know it's overseas.
Yeah, I think it's in Europe. Peru would be pretty cool, though.
He's playing in EuroLeague.
He proposed to his now wife on his senior day. What do you think about that, producer Matt?
At least he finally won a ring.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, what would you say to John Higgins?
Who is that?
Okay.
The guy that prevented the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
okay.
I think that's all that answers our question.
He's playing for Paris, by the way, Paris Basketball Club.
Okay. You knew it
That's not
started
bad.
with a P, though.
That's not bad.
A texter,
I was close.
Screaming peak, says one texter. Another texter says, no moral victories is up there with no looking ahead. Can we talk about the games or not? Yeah, I just think you also just have to keep things realistic and in check, where, like, Kentucky playing Florida close was a positive development for this team. If you can be in a situation where you're making life difficult on Florida and you're a couple shots away from potentially maybe winning that game, you can do that against Iowa State. You can beat Iowa State. Now they can obviously lose to Santa Clara, but I'll just be excited when they're a 1 seed. Spencer Smith called Yelovich his disappointment of the season, and I have to agree. The role was there for the taking, and he did not step up. I'm sure he will shoot much better at Illinois next year. Ain't that the truth? That great text into the show. Disappointment of the season. Wow.
He did say that.
A lot of candidates.
Spencer really knows his ball too. He worked on the UK staff with Cal back in the day. He's a grad assistant, I think.
JQ, I would say, is probably the disappointment of the year.
Yes, that is the answer. But as far as guys that we thought were going to play the whole time, you'd have to be super naive, I think, to have thought.
Yeah, I think
I don't think anybody can beat Brandon Garrison. I'm sorry.
I think you make a case really just for the front court in its entirety. Whatever avenue you want to go down. Even Modi Abate, I think, was more underwhelming than you want. Like, we thought that he was going to be a big reason we won some games. Not necessarily with his scoring, but like, oh, Modi Abate was so impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It happened a little bit later in the year, and you felt you lost to UNC because you didn't have him. You win that game. So his presence was felt. But I don't know. I thought he'd be even a little bit better. Andre Yelovich, I do agree with that take. He was incredibly underwhelming. Malachi Marino was a positive. There's really no other way around it. I don't think as big as a positive as some people are letting on. Like, I think he's good, but, you know, you're seeing some bigs dominate college basketball. He never did really anything close to that. So I think we need to keep it in check. And then Brandon Garrison was underwhelming.
Yeah, we thought he was going to take that big step that Pope was talking about with guys who come back and get year 2 in their system. But with Malachi, I think we have to be overall pleased with what he did, but also just that you're going to likely get him back next year, and let's see if he's the guy that takes the next step. I think he absolutely could be. Actually, I'd like to see what Malachi Malachi's going to develop a jump shot.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be his free throw shooting really did improve throughout the season.
It did. I'll need to see that jump shot develop before I buy it.
He's going to work with his brother. We talked with his brother, and his brother was the all-time, I think, leading three-point shooter in EKU history. So his brother can shoot. So he's going to work with him, and I expect now. You remember Patrick Patterson, his first 2 years at Kentucky.
Rings a bell.
Could not shoot. He shot a line drive. No, he was terrible. He goes to a shooting camp over the summer, comes back his junior year, and he's one of the more reliable three-point shooters that Kentucky had for that first Calipari team.
The Patrick Patterson corner threes. It was a thing
Yeah,
of
he
beauty.
had a big top of the key three against Louisville.
You loved it. If we go further than Arkansas in the tournament, no one will care about the SEC, but we probably won't. Arkansas-Hawaii is a fascinating matchup. Hawaii's defensive philosophy is never help and make guys beat you one-on-one. They have a lot of length, too. That style might be a death sentence against ACUF, but I'm interested to see it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Cal lost to St. Peter's and Oakland, but I would just think Arkansas has too much talent for Hawaii. But going to Portland, I don't know. It's a weird game. Go Hawaii, though. I'll just say that. What percentage chance do we see JQ on Friday? That'd be hilarious. I hope so. It'd be great. I know he's a friend of the program, but it's nice to see Cal Tucker back to antagonizing Kentucky fans. Beat. Hey, you know what? We click it, though, and we talk about it, and we discuss it. Another texter says, can you tell Peak to stop coping about Arkansas, says one texter.
So much copium right now.
Another texter says, John here, I like the path Coach Pope and the Cats got. Feel like we could make a run if the stars would align. I also think UCF, St. Louis, Robbie Avila, and Miami of Ohio could make a little push in this tournament. What do you all think? We'll got to go talk to you later. We'll probably do more like upset picks and stuff like that tomorrow. I will say best case scenario for UK, I think they could get to the Elite Eight. I'm a homer, and I'm biased, and that's probably optimistic thinking. But, I do think that they should beat Santa Clara.
That's saying they're going to play three straight games in a row.
Could they beat Iowa State? Yes. Could they beat Tennessee or Virginia? Yes. But obviously they can lose all those games. I'm just saying they could. Probably won't. But I don't think they could beat Michigan with the current makeup or the current setup. So that's where I think the party would probably stop. But who knows? Maybe Michigan gets upset. Maybe that top half of the bracket gets to be a little bit crazy. You never know. But that being said, I didn't have very high expectations. I thought there was a chance they could get a first-round matchup where oh, no, that's not the team I wanted to face. Or at least a second-round matchup where I thought they would definitively be in big trouble. They didn't get that stuff. So, whatever. Go out, play the games. You got to go beat Santa Claus and set up a game against Iowa State where just hope they're a little off. I'm going to call them Santa Claus the rest of the week.
Yeah, they absolutely can do that. Here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to play Santa Clara. They're going to beat them by 15, 20 points. We're going to feel good about Iowa State, and then we're going to lose a close game. And we're going to feel like, they were right there. We were 3 away from another Sweet 16 appearance. Yeah. Andre just would have hit that three.
We're looking at Pope. I could totally see that.
Yeah.
What scares me about Iowa State, TJ, is they can shoot 1 to 5. We know how awful our three-point defense is. They're also extremely physical on the defensive end. No 2 seed would be an easy game, but I would have taken Purdue or UConn over Iowa State and Houston. I just didn't want Houston. So, and Iowa State, they're really good. They're going to be a handful. I'd say that they'd be 6.5-point favorites over Kentucky, but they have to shoot well. It's dictated on perimeter play. And if they just have an off night, then Kentucky's going to win that game.
Does it make you feel better that Iowa State uses the Nike Elite Championship ball and not the Wilson Evo for regular season games?
It does not, but
maybe they're going to rely on shooting. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't hit any.
Some texter just said idiot. We always like those. Another texter says Oates didn't care about driving a gun to the scene to be used in a murder. Anyone think he cares about a pound of weed?
It almost sounds like he's saying Oates drove the gun over there. The heat is in the hat, DJ.
The heat's in the hat? What's that mean?
That was the text that was
sent. The heat's in the hat. Yeah, I forgot about that. Adults should be able to have as many pounds as they want. Stupid. I don't know what that's referencing. I maybe misread that. You could combine Georgia and UK teams, and they wouldn't beat Michigan. Quit talking out your is that Michigan fan? We haven't heard from Michigan fan in a long time.
That's pretty cool.
Guys, don't call Shaden Quaintance a letdown for the season yet. He's going to play now that it's postseason, right? What a clown show. The Jaden Quaintance thing just couldn't.
Quintance.
Shaden Quaintance.
Shaden Quintance.
Shaden Quintance is what they said.
Yeah.
Another texter says, I flip a coin for the bracket. Or no, I think that was you or somebody.
I was texting back.
Watching TJ's beanie slowly move further and further back is pretty funny. Well, you should see my hairline if you want pretty funny. But, all right, we're out of time, everybody. Fun show. It's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a weird week. But tomorrow will be pretty normal. So, noon, Kentucky Roll Call on the YouTube. Stephen Beek, producer Matt Childers, TJ Walker. This is KRC on the Big O.
Can't quit, the time flew fast.